Hello, listeners. Compliment of the season. I hope we are all having fun. We're enjoying ourselves this Christmas period. Today is 31st of December 2021. We have barely less than 24 hours before we enter 1st of January 2022. A happy new year in advance to all of you. I hope we're all having fun. Today I'm going to discuss Bitcoin halving. In my previous video, where I discussed the magic of Bitcoin, one of the things I talked about is Bitcoin halving. I said it in passing, and I also promised I'm going to make a video specifically on Bitcoin halving. So today you got the video on Bitcoin halving. So what is Bitcoin halving? Bitcoin halving spelled as Bitcoin then halving, halving halving, halving, Bitcoin halving. Bitcoin halving is just a process or a phenomenon that occurs in the Bitcoin mining process where the amount of Bitcoin, which is called block reward, received by miners is cut into half after every 210,000 blocks of Bitcoin rewards. Now, the miners who mine Bitcoin, what they get as reward is called block reward, which is Bitcoin block reward. The block reward is added into the Bitcoin ledger system. The Bitcoin ledger system is what you hear of called blockchain. Blockchain is nothing. There is nothing too difficult about blockchain. Blockchain is just a ledger, a decentralized ledger system in which the Bitcoin rewards or Bitcoin blocks are added. That is just what blockchain is. So Bitcoin halving is a special process that every investors in Bitcoin should know about because it is very, very significant in terms of dating and in terms of when you should buy your Bitcoin. And the most significant thing with Bitcoin halving is that there's always a surge in the price of Bitcoin. A year, 6 months, and a year, within 6 months and a year after each Bitcoin halving, it is on record. So far, there have been three Bitcoin halving. Three Bitcoin halving. The first Bitcoin halving occurred in 2012. That was November 2012. Second Bitcoin halving occurred in 2016, July 2016, and the third Bitcoin halving so far, which is the last Bitcoin halving, occurred in May 2020. Let's take a look at each of the Bitcoin halving. What happened with the prices of Bitcoin in the year 2012? November 2012, the price of Bitcoin was thereabouts $11, fluctuating between 9, 10, $11 prior to the Bitcoin halving process. 6 months to about a year after the Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin, that was 2013 because it happened in November 2012. In 2013, Bitcoin price rose from $11 to thereabouts $1,200. Can you beat that? Within a year, Bitcoin has multiplied by over 20x. Bitcoin rose from $11 to $1,200 in 1 year. So imagine you bought Bitcoin in November 2012 for $11 or $10, and within a year you were selling your Bitcoin for $1,200. Something you bought $11 in 1 year time, it was $1,200 or even $1,000. That's huge money. That's huge money, and that is very, very significant. Now let's go to the second Bitcoin halving. The second Bitcoin halving happened in July 2016. The price of Bitcoin at about was about $500 to $900 in that period prior to Bitcoin halving. $500, $600 was just fluctuating between $500, $600, $700, got to $900 as at the time of halving. Now, 1 year after the halving process, Bitcoin price, which was in 2017, remember I said the halving occurred in July 2016. 1 year later, which was 2017, Bitcoin rose from the range of 500, 600, 700, $800 to $20,000 in December 2017. The same pattern. A year later or 6 months to a year later, after the Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin usually have a surge in price. That is there about 20x. 20x whatever you invested. You are making 20x whatever you invested. Cool money, cool cash. So let's go to the third Bitcoin halving. The third Bitcoin halving occurred in May 2020, not too long ago, just last year, May 2020. In May 2020, the Bitcoin price was $9,000. As of January of 2021, that is about 6 months or so, Bitcoin was already from $9,000 to 20 something thousand dollars. By May 2021, Bitcoin was already $64,000. From $9,000 within a year, Bitcoin has risen from $9,000 to $64,000 so far. As I'm making this video, the price of Bitcoin is about $48,000 or $49,000, within the range of $48,000 to $49,000. Now, you may want to ask that, okay, yeah, after the Bitcoin rose from the first halving, Bitcoin rose from $11 to $1,200. Now, in 2016, it means it fell down from that $1,200 to $500 because in 2016, which was the second halving, Bitcoin was fluctuating within a range of $500, $600, $700, $800. That means that after it rose, it came down, the price came down again. Now, in 2017, eventually got to $20,000. And I am saying that in May 2020, Bitcoin was at $9,000. It also means that after it rose that much, it fell down again. So you have to understand that Bitcoin is something that has cycle. It has cycle. Now, I didn't mention that the Bitcoin halving process gives it a cycle, which is usually intervals of 4 years. Now, it takes roughly about 4 years between each Bitcoin halving. And the message I wanted to pick is this, that once Bitcoin halving occurs, a year later, Bitcoin price must rise. Second message, within that 1 year, or after that 1 year rather, after that 1 year Bitcoin has rise, Bitcoin will always drop. Bitcoin will always drop from its peak. It rises within 1 year to the peak. Once it gets to the peak, it drops. You have to understand it so that you know when to come into the market and you know when to go out of the market. You can even date the Bitcoin halving. Like now, the Bitcoin halving, since it occurs, the last Bitcoin halving so far occurred in May 2020. May 2020. We can say the next Bitcoin halving will occur in 4 years' time, which will be if you say 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. So the next Bitcoin halving will occur roughly around May 2024. So you can plan yourself to invest hugely in May 2024, knowing that after every Bitcoin halving, within 1 year, that Bitcoin price usually skyrockets, usually rises to the moon. It's all about planning, it's all about timing, it's all about position when you come into the market, when you exit the market. Now, I want to bring to our notice the different circles in Bitcoin. We have the bull circle, we have the bear circle. The bear circle is that period when Bitcoin has attained the peak price and crashes. Whenever Bitcoin is falling, that period of fall is usually called the bear circle. Those are the period when people are selling. The bull circle is what happens from the Bitcoin halving, and after Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin starts rising and rising and rising. That period of continuous rise in the price of Bitcoin is the bull circle. So the bull circle is the period when Bitcoin consistently rises in price, and the bear circle is the period when Bitcoin continuously falls in price. And what I'm trying to also say is that the bull circle usually follows halving. After each halving, there's always a bull circle that will occur and last for about 1 year and drops down. It gets to the peak and drops down. So when it gets to the peak, drops down, that period where you consistently keep dropping and dropping and dropping is the bear circle. So you must understand the bear circle, you must understand the bull cycle, you must understand halving. I think this is all I have to present for you today. Every investor in Bitcoin must know or have at the fingertips the process of Bitcoin halving, when it occurs, the dynamics of the price action after Bitcoin halving has occurred. It will help you know when to come into the market and help you determine when to exit the market. Thank you for listening. Compliment of the season and Happy New Year in advance.